Hello and welcome to our next day of learning the ideas of chesed. So what we're going to learn about today is how chesed actually can be the catalyst of great miracles. It's really a redeeming factor for us. So it says in the Talmud that one of the reasons that we got out of Egypt, yes, of course, it's the plagues and all the miracles that Hashem did for us. But one of the reasons why he did these miracles for us is because Bnei Israel, the Jewish people, made a pact with each other while they were going through horrible slavery, while they were going through terrible decrees in Egypt. They said, no matter what, we will not lose our ability to do kindness for one another. We will be good to each other. We won't let this slavery turn us into monsters that we start ripping each other apart. And so in that merit, Hashem ended up redeeming the Jewish people. The Jews' compassion for one another brought Hashem into their presence. Because they kept Hashem in the picture, Hashem could use his supernatural powers on their behalf. And we sing a song every day called Az Yashir in our prayer services. And Az Yashir is the song that the Jewish people sang after they crossed the sea and they were saved from the Egyptian army. And it says in it, one of the sentences in that song is, "You have guided us through mercy. You have redeemed this people." So yes, it can mean that God guided us through mercy, but the Chafetz Chaim explains that when it says, with your kindness you guided this people that you redeemed, it means with your kindness that you saw our kindness. Hashem's guiding hand was activated not only by his own trait of mercy, but by compassion to the Jews. Showed one another. They showed one another compassion, so God therefore mirrored it and showed compassion for us. And chesed is really a unique life insurance. It's something that can protect us when we are good to one another, when we do chesed for one another. We brought up last week about the idea of Rabbi Akiva's daughter who was saved on her wedding day because she gave a poor man food to eat and she was therefore saved. So there's a beautiful story that's brought down. Before World War II, before the war, there was a town that really didn't have a sufficient, system to teach their kids, and they didn't have any good Rabbeim in town that can help them. So they brought in a rabbi from another town. The problem was they didn't have money. They couldn't afford to pay the Rabbi. So instead what they did was they provided food for the Rebbe and his family. And that was the deal. They were going to bring the Rebbe and his family food for all their meals every single day. And the Rebbe taught their children, and he gave them a really strong foundation of Judaism and a love of Torah, and the town was really grateful to him. But slowly over time, their children grew up, and the Rebbe got older, and the Rebbe's children moved away, and the Rebbe's wife passed away, and eventually they brought a new rabbi into town. And most of the people who were really dedicated to helping this rabbi, now he was this elderly rabbi, most people forgot about him. They were very concerned now and involved with this new young rabbi that was brought in for the next generation. And the ones who supported him, they started passing away, and slowly this Rebbe was getting forgotten. And he lived by himself in a small apartment, but there was one lady who said, I'm not going to forget about this Rebbe. I'm not going to forget about what he did for our children. And every single day she made him lunch, and she would climb up the stairs in this building to his tiny little apartment and would bring the rabbi lunch every single day. Well, war came, and this lady was spared having to be taken to Auschwitz, and she was spared seeing the Holocaust. She passed on. But what happened to her children and her grandchildren? So they actually somehow miraculously were taken in by a lady, and she hid them in her apartment. She created a little section in her apartment where she hid these children, and she provided food for them. And the apartment survived a few raids where they came in looking to see if there were any Jews in the apartment, but they survived it. They were able to remain hidden. And the war was over, and these grandchildren of the lady were finally released. And when they came out, they wanted to learn more about this woman who saved their lives during the war. And as they investigated more, they found out that the exact apartment that they were saved in is the exact apartment where this rabbi lived. This rabbi that their grandmother brought food to and brought lunch to every single day till the day that he died. The apartment was eventually taken over by somebody who wasn't Jewish. That apartment and that lady eventually ended up saving this woman's grandchildren. So we see there's this idea that chesed never harms you. It will always serve as a protection for you, and Hashem guarantees that himself. Sometimes we'll see it very clearly, and other times we won't. Now, when I first started off this series about chesed and loving kindness, I said I'm doing it, this particular topic at this point in time, because there's so much hatred right now in the world. There is so much opposing sides and fighting and bickering, and unfortunately even within our communities, even within social media, there is so much hatred at times. And what I hope we can achieve with this learning is to bring some light into this often divided world that we're finding ourselves in right now, to just be kinder to one another, even if we share different views, even if we look different, even if we speak differently. There's no harm in smiling at someone or going a little bit out of your way for someone, even someone that you might not care much for, making someone feel good, doing a small act for somebody. It will end up serving as a protection for you and for the Jewish people as a whole, in the merit of our chesed, of the loving kindness that we do for one another, of caring for one another. May we be zocha to soon see Mashiach come speedily in our days, and to finally have redemption from this coronavirus, from everything, all the noise in the world, and to just live in a world of happiness and peace. Have a wonderful day.